At 85 years old, standing here in front of the senior class of 2094, I have to warn you, being a senior in high school is nothing compared to being so old your knees make more noise than the school bell. But aging does give you one gift, the ability to look back and finally understand where grace showed up when you didn't know you needed it. The three life-changing events which I share to you during this last lecture occurred when baptism, reconciliation, and matrimony provided me with their many blessings which saved me from my situation. I experienced my first moment when I turned 32, while working in Dallas after finishing my education at this very school and then attending SMU. I had just left on a 3-week-long business trip to Seattle, exhausted and stressed, and before I boarded the plane, Sarah, who is my wife, and I had a huge argument about how much time I'd been dedicating to work. I dismissed it at the moment while I told myself I worked to support my family, but actually I used work as a reason to avoid my home life. The first night in Seattle brought me to a hotel room, where I experienced the feeling of being alone while watching the rainy city view. I missed the sound of Sarah and the presence of my kids. I missed the household disorder which I used to overlook in my daily life. I left Seattle immediately the next morning, the night after that feeling. I entered the house to find my family all together, with Sarah surprised and her children rushing to greet me, which confirmed my excellent decision. Even though I was later fired from this job, the experience showed me for the first time how matrimony's family grace operated through its soft influence, which brought me back to the place where I experienced the most love. My life reached its second major turning point when I turned 48 and found myself in Dallas working at the second largest bank in the country and dedicating all my energy to my work. This made me lose sight of the people who had supported my journey. My phone continued to buzz while I sat in a New York conference room away from home. Feeling exhausted from my long work hours and missing my home environment, I dismissed the first call and then the next one, but I excused myself from the room when a third call was made. I was feeling irritated until I heard the words which made me almost pass out. My father, Jeff Cardo, had passed away from an unexpected seizure in his home in Telluride. I don't remember dropping the phone, but I do remember my coworker yelling at me for leaving the meeting, then going silent when he saw my face. I flew home immediately to Dallas, where my wife Sarah and my kids, Will, Calvin, and Kathleen, were waiting for me. We left for the funeral service the day of. The funeral service took place in Telluride when November snow began to fall, while the song "This Must Be the Place" by Talking Heads played, and an old family photo from Santa Barbara lay beside his coffin. My sisters came, but I was the one my dad left his legacy to, his house and the family business, Cardo Real Estate. And in the quiet afterwards, when everyone went home, I spent the first night in his house with my mom, overwhelmed by the guilt that I hadn't seen him enough before his death. And here's where the grace of initiation or baptism, and specifically the grace of a new community, saved me. The weight my father left me became too much for me to handle until my mother brought me to the local parish. People in the room welcomed me by greeting me and treating me as their brother instead of viewing me as a shattered person. Every time I was in town or I visited the church, I became part of the choir while I worked to fix our family business and discovered spiritual community which God had established before I came to Telluride. The discovery of that community brought me out of total social isolation. The last moment took place after multiple months from my second moment. I discovered an envelope which my father had written years before his death. It contained his will to me and a letter which had this sentence, which has stayed with me since that day. Son, I know we have not seen each other much recently, but I just wanted to let you know that when I'm gone, I will miss you and love you so much forever. I want to take care of the family for me and live a life full of love. I experienced the letter in my Dallas office before I made the bold decision to move to Telluride, but the burden of my regret became overwhelming. I blame myself for the distance between me and my father, even though life was busy, even though he knew I loved him. I visited the church and the priest in Telluride like usual, but this time to share my details with him because he possessed a deep understanding and a calming voice which made me feel understood. He listened to me with understanding before saying, God's mercy extends beyond all the mistakes which you believe you have made. The steps of forgiveness made me realize that love is stronger than the physical distance that separated us. In that moment, I recognized the blessing of reconciliation, which helped me feel forgiven by God, and for the first time, forgive myself. Without that moment, I might have carried guilt for the rest of my life. Instead, I learned how powerful love can be and how it can heal even deep pain. You seniors need to understand that grace works through actions which remain unnoticeable to others. It doesn't hit you like lightning. The presence appears in a way that is both peaceful and welcoming through the acceptance of others and the freeing nature of mercy and the calming power of family relationships. Your future in life will bring many challenges and changes, but the people God sends to protect you and support you through those challenges will prove to be more valuable than anything else. Keep your family members close to you while you ask for forgiveness when needed, and understand that divine grace will always find you. And if an 85-year-old man who needs reading glasses just to find his reading glasses can understand that, then you're already well ahead of me.